Because if we're going to talk about flesh simply as an empirical thing, it ceases to be interesting. And if you think about the incarnation, the idea of the incarnation, simply in terms of, well, there's a God here, and then it comes to a body, and that's what it means, and it can fully be understood in such simple terms, then it doesn't do much, right? The way I'm using the term is really to gather the things that constitute the materiality of a body. And part of the reasons I think it eludes a stable definition is because all sorts of things can constitute the materiality of bodies. Rather than treating the materiality of bodies as something that is given and stable and all that, I wanted to see it more as a nexus of relations. That includes the ways our practices of moving in the world shape our flesh, and it also includes pollution in the air, how that shapes the world, the things we eat or cannot eat. I was trying to find a way to articulate this, that these concepts, like ideology or colonialism, coloniality, all these things sound very abstract. And yet, if we follow its consequences, especially its material consequences, we know that they end up affecting human bodies. So if anybody started to talk about, should we go to war? Wouldn't it be great if we started to ask questions, so what's going to happen to the water, and where the local people are going to get food from? So often when we say, well, social ideas are just constructed, right? And of course we can say that's true, but there's an important part of the analysis that needs to happen, is what are the effects, the material effects of things we invent, right? We may have invented race, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't have effects, and that those effects are material and are real, right? So it's just the two. So the poetics and the flesh have to be kept together. In some of the parts of the Christian tradition that I was drawing its definition from, the flesh is that which connects you to the world, right? But with that connection to the world comes then the vulnerability of being shaped by it. It is the central element of flesh. I think it is also the reason why you would find some thinkers who are very reluctant to think with the category of flesh. So in the end, by risking letting go of those protections, those boundaries that protect you, you find not weakness, but actually a potential for a more robust and honest being human. Part of what I want to see in flesh is vitality. And there's the question for me of also what are the possibilities of people, of imagining different realities, different ways of constituting the world, so that their own bodies can develop, can flourish in ways they have not been allowed to flourish. Is that the flourishing of the person is tied to the flourishing of the community, to the flourishing of the non-human environment, right? And something as simple as gathering in community and playing their own music, dancing to the music, and just sharing in community might seem as very common and not so radical, right? But if one thinks about what are the effects of those practices in helping the person develop a strong sense of their own value, in relation, and in a way that's different from the broader society. I have to think that those practices help you and strengthen the community to even when they are placed in the context where those values are not affirmed, right? My mom used to have this saying that about practices such as that were rich, and she would say that they thicken my bones, right? And the commitment to fight for political change, to struggle for political change, is grounded in a deep sense that things can be different, right? And I have to think that's also grounded in a sense of value, in a sense that the world is redeemable to a certain extent, right? That there is something lovely about the world in the ways, so you fight against those things that are preventing that from flourishing, right? But it's based on a conviction of the loveliness of the world.